Hello, Holistic Chamber of Commerce family, and we're back with another Meet a Member segment. Today I have Jeremiah Marquez with Ascension, and he is going to talk to us about all things branding, which is awesome because I get shiny object syndrome and I'm like, ooh, I need to do this and I need to do that. And then pretty soon my brand is just like a vomit of like everything that I think I should be doing. So I'm super excited to have you here today.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Laura.
Hmm.
I'm really grateful to be able to speak with you today, and thank you for everyone who's joining. I know that you already mentioned shiny object syndrome. So if that's you, listeners who are tuning in, if you need clarity or direction,
We're in the right place.
exactly.
All right, well, let's start out with just like the fundamentals. I mean, what is a brand?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a great place to start because I feel like there's a really big misconception about what a brand is. And a lot of people think that it's your name or your logo, but really it's much more than that. What it is it's a product or a company, or even if you're a personal brand, it's the way that your supporters perceive you. So, really, rather than just a logo, it's a way that these visual identity systems can evoke to the people you're trying to connect with.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that because we do hear the word branding, but I tell you, a
Mhm.
lot of people are like, oh, I have a brand. I have like the three same colors on my website.
Right, exactly. And it's much more than that. It's the way you communicate. Brand colors are included, but it's not just the visual side of things.
Right. So why do we need a brand strategy?
Yeah, definitely. So, um, I would say that there's four different points that I would like to bring up today. Um, the first point I would say is there's a lot of talk about connecting with your target audience, right? But if there's not a way that you're communicating them to the way that they know how to be spoken to, then it's really hard to connect on a deep level with them. So you're able to um, not just sell to them, but really connect on an emotional and empathetic level with them. In addition, as I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, what it does is it allows you to keep a consistent message across all your marketing platforms. And in addition, it allows you to keep your visual language consistent. So using specific colors, using specific imagery, things like that. But beyond just these aspects of it, I think the core advantage of having a brand strategy is it helps you stay focused, right? So a lot of people are either solopreneurs or they're running a small business with some employees, and it can be hard to stay on track. But when you have something in place, it can give you direction and really make decisions, not only marketing decisions, but business decisions too, that are
That
all
makes
in
a lot
alignment.
of that makes a lot of sense. When you have people visiting your website, you want them to know, "Oh my gosh, you understand me." So
Exactly.
when we do stage speaking, or networking, when people feel like we understand them, then that's part of that brand connection from what it sounds like.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then over social media, it's so noisy. We have so many like platforms to choose from. By maintaining that consistency, people start to recognize us. If we're not consistent, it's almost like, oh, that must be a new person doing that. We want people to really recognize us.
Yeah, exactly. And consistency is the biggest thing, especially when it comes to marketing. Um, of course, when you're trying to stay connected, because it is so flooded, as you mentioned, online, if you don't have a system in place where you know exactly what you're doing a couple weeks in advance or a month in advance, it's really easy to get lost. And just the other day, last week we had National Gratitude Day. If you didn't know about that, then you couldn't post about it. And during that day, you realize, oh, it's National Gratitude Day. I want to do a post, but it's at this point, it's not a part. It's at a point where it's challenging to create something, because you have A, B, and C to do. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because there are some people out there that have a small business, or
Mhm.
like myself, it's just kind of me. I may think, I don't need a brand. I'm
Mm.
my own brand. Is that accurate?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's accurate, because even if you are a personal brand, there is something. It's important for everybody. If you're in business, it's important for you, big, small, and even personal. So I say this because essentially what it is it allows you to create long-term success. So we all know that we need to be setting goals and a way to achieve them, right? But without having a system in place, even as a solopreneur, then it's going to be a lot challenging for you to execute what you're really trying to do and serve with the people you're trying to connect with.
It almost sounds like you're speaking of a brand as almost like a strategy or a blueprint to follow. And,
Mhm.
and I really like that, because it is very easy to get off, like to not focus. Like you kind of start, again, the shiny objects, and be like, oh, we need to do that. I need to do that. And I think that if your brand is very specific and detailed as to how you show up, like, for example, if you like live streams and reels and stuff, that's almost part of your brand. But if that
Yeah.
doesn't resonate to you and you're trying to force that as part of your brand, then it doesn't seem like it would be as successful as really being authentic
Mm.
in your
Yeah.
branding.
Right. Not at all. I think um, what I really like to push is uh, flow over force, right? You want something that is going to be working for you in your marketing, right? So if you're not a person who likes social media, then that's not the what you should be positioning. You know, you really want to be in a flow state to be able to uh, tap into what you're trying to do.
Mhm. Now, what if you already have a brand strategy, and you're listening to this? What do you tell people who are like, "Oh, I already have a brand. I'm good."
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's always great to just reevaluate. It depends. The first question I like to ask is, how long um, has this been in business? If you've been in business and you got this brand strategy developed 5 years ago, then it's really time to um, position revisiting that, because as you grow and evolve as a business, your brand needs to reflect that. So there are going to be core things that you're going to keep that will never change, but it is an evolution. And I would say that it's important to reevaluate at least um, a year to a year and a half or so.
I think too, it updates the energy of your presence. And I'm so guilty of that, by the way. Like, the pictures I have on my website are like the same pictures I've been using probably for a good 5 to 7 years. and
Right.
I started to realize that I think that impacts the overall energy of my business and how I
Mm.
feel. So I just started like updating some pictures. Um,
Yeah, and I love that you bring that up, because where you were when you created this is completely different from where you are today, and energetically it is different. And I think that we understand that intuitively as conscious creators, but at the same time we don't think about that and how it connects to business.
mm. Now there are tons of brand strategists
Mm.
out there, and I know what makes you different from them just by having a conversation with you. But if you could just kind of share what makes you different than other brand experts.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. Well, what I'd like to say in response to that is, I think all of us strategists have some sort of specific framework that we may use, um, that would be following a certain structure, things like that. But what really sets me apart is because I love working with holistic practitioners and conscious business owners and heart-centered entrepreneurs, I really like to include things like breath work into our strategy sessions, having gratitude, and even intention setting.
Ah, that's fabulous. I was just talking to someone about breath work and like the transformative power of that. So that's fantastic. And here's the thing
Yeah.
too. I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience because I've worked with a branding person before, and it wasn't a good fit, and it just kind of, burned and deconstructed. But as holistic practitioners, we want to work with someone who gets us, that doesn't think our business is a bunch of like woo woo hogwash, because when you're trying to form a brand, you want someone who aligns with that and who gets it and understands that. So I very much appreciate that you are in this space and sharing this niche with us, because I think people really want that. They want to be understood and not have to like explain themselves like over and over again.
Right, right. Yeah. And I think that in the work that we all do, there is this misconception of being woo woo or out there. And you're right. Like being in alignment is really important. So when you are looking for a strategist or a designer or a brand expert, whatever you refer to us as, it is an important aspect to make sure that it is in alignment.
Mm-hmm. So when someone wants to work with you, what does that look like exactly? Meaning, do you do, is it like a consultation process where, you kind of do brainstorming and then go back and forth? Like if people want to work with you, how can they formulate a picture of what that might look like?
Yeah, definitely. So initially, what I'd like to do is just offer a free consultation just to understand where the business is at, how long you've been in business, understand really what your struggles are and what kind of pain points you're experiencing. From that point, once we figure out if, this is something that I can assist you with and, you think that I'm a good fit for you, then we can go into having some strategy sessions and really creating a formula that works specifically for you and what's going to make your business grow and evolve ultimately.
So what do you assess in a business? Is it like, like the colors and stuff, but do you have like like a blueprint or something? Like, we evaluate image, we evaluate colors, we evaluate message. What are those like key areas that you're focusing on?
Yeah. So to make it more simple, at least for my specific framework, what I do is I like to go through a brief brand exercise where we really come up with some brand attributes, which are just ultimately just adjectives that we use to describe a brand. And then from that point, we create a brand statement. Another aspect that I include is creating customer profiles, really understanding our target audience. That the word is thrown around a lot and people don't understand that. So we develop who our ideal supporters are. And then lastly, probably the most biggest component is coming up with goals, not just for marketing, but ways you can increase revenue, awareness around your brand. Then we start getting into the marketing, but also how we can make these processes more efficient, and we come up with efficiency goals as well.
That's fabulous. It sounds like it's a really well-rounded approach to branding.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a lot more than just, colors. Yes, we want to be able to connect with, a certain feeling, and there is color psychology. But there's a lot more inner workings behind a brand than just, those visual components.
So basically just slapping our face on a page and choosing 3 colors that sort of kind of go together is not the best strategy.
Right. It's not a bad one, but it's not the best one.
It's not the best one. Yeah. Well, you do have someone that typed in and agreed that it's so important for relativity when working together, creating complementary energies.
Exactly.
So great nuggets. Thank you. thank you for sharing here. Now, if people want to get in touch with you to have that consultation call, what do they do?
Yeah. So if you're interested in working with me, you can visit my website. I believe it's dropped in the, my website is dropped in the chat box.
Yeah, I'm going to do that right now.
Okay, perfect. And you can go to the contact page. There's a form that you can fill out, and it just gives me a better understanding of you and your business. And then we can go through and set up that initial meeting and go from there. Otherwise, if that's too much, you can always just send me an email at contact@ascension.com.
Okay, so ASC, I've got a little error message here, so I'm going to try and post your info real quick again before we get off. I'm like trying to make sure I spell this correctly because your Ascension is a little bit of a play on words.
Right, you're right.
Contact@ascension.com, right?
I'm also in the Holistic Chamber of Commerce directory as well, so you can view my information through there. So.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Jeremiah, for being here today and sharing your branding expertise.
Yeah.
So folks, if you need some branding help, reach out to Jeremiah.
Thank you so much, Laura.
All right, have a great rest of your day, everybody.